So we'll order the Ascension Parish Council meeting Thursday, March 27th. Everyone stand please for the invocation. Reverend Kenny Chapman.
Let us bow our head. Father, in the name of Jesus, we come tonight, Father, thanking you for allowing us to come out once more again and make quality decisions. Now, Father, we ask you tonight that every item that is on this agenda may it have the best meaning and the best knowledge for this parish. And Father, right now, we give you the glory, the honor, and the praise. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, sir. Remain standing for our pledge. Our pledge will be led tonight by American Legion Post 81 members, Mr. Lloyd Smith and Mr. Jerome Duplessis.
Please join with us. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, gentlemen. Ms. Suzanne, roll call, make note, all present. Number 3, chair addition. We have no chair additions. Public comment period. Anyone wishing to speak on any item on the agenda tonight, please sign in. Ms. Suzanne, you'll be afforded 3 minutes. Number 5, proclamation to proclaim Volunteer Week in Ascension Parish.
I guess you want me to read it?
Yes. Thank you, ma'am.
To proclaim National Volunteer Week in Ascension Parish. Whereas all members of a community can affect positive change in any volunteer action, no matter how big or small, and should work toward the goals set forth by President Bush, including providing our nation's youth with the resources they need to succeed in today's world. And whereas volunteers can connect with local government service opportunities through hundreds of community service organizations like Volunteer Ascension, a volunteer center, and whereas more than 64 million volunteers working in their communities utilize their time and talent daily to make a real difference in the lives of children, adults, and the elderly. And whereas during the week all over the nation, service projects will be performed and volunteers recognized for their commitment to service. And whereas volunteers have the power to fight the pervasive feeling of social disconnection experienced by 81% of Americans, and especially our young people, and whereas volunteers are vital to our future as a caring and productive nation and are willing and eager to volunteer, and whereas it is the duty of every citizen and leader to honor those who work not for money but for the special feeling they get when they serve a meal or mentor a child, and whereas Ascension Parish government saw the need for and created Volunteer Ascension to serve as the volunteer center for Ascension Parish. Now therefore be it proclaimed, I, Tommy Martinez, President of Ascension Parish, do hereunto set my official signature and have cause to proclaim April 27th through May 3rd, 2008 as National Volunteer Week. President Martinez, I believe Ms. Boudreaux's here to accept this.
Thank you, ladies.
thank you, Mr. Chairman, Councilman, and President Martinez for this proclamation calling attention to National Volunteer Week all over the nation as well as in Ascension Parish. Each year, Volunteer Ascension during National Volunteer Week holds a Volunteer of the Year Awards recognition program for the volunteers throughout the parish. Right now we're accepting nominations for worthy volunteers all over the parish, and I know that everyone's really busy, but if you'll just take a little bit of time out of your schedule. I passed out nomination forms to you, the councilman. I have some extras for me for anyone here tonight that needs them. Our annual Volunteer of the Year Awards changed 2 years ago. This is going to be our third year to a nighttime event where family and friends and fellow workers could go to recognize and honor volunteers who are nominated for the good works that they do throughout the year. And we, in 2007, Volunteer Ascension provided over $750,000 in services and volunteer hours to the parish and to the community and those in need just through our programs. And that's not counting all the volunteers that are through other agencies and organizations. So we have some very wonderful volunteers here in the parish, and they definitely deserve to be nominated, so please take some time out to do that. This has turned into a fundraiser, nighttime event with comedy entertainment at the awards ceremony. It is going to be Tuesday, April the 29th at the Holiday Inn. You can buy tickets from Volunteer Ascension at the office, and you can also get nomination forms through the office. So please do nominate worthy volunteers that are in the parish for this. Thank you.
Thank you, Audrey. Next, we had on the agenda the recognition of the East Ascension High School basketball team, and this being a holiday week, we didn't really think we'll bring them in at a later date, so that will not be on the agenda. Next, I have like to recognize Leadership Ascension, Mr. Chris Lower.
I'm privileged to be part of the 2008 Leadership Ascension class, which is a great program put on by the Ascension Chamber of Commerce to develop our next future leaders. And we have some representatives from a class here tonight. Part of the requirements is to learn about local government, how it works, and also healthcare and education and all that. So I just wanted to recognize them and tell you thank you for coming.
Thank you, Councilman Lower. Would y'all stand, please? Ascension. Thank you all. Next, item 6, Parish President report.
Just have one update on Highway 44, Mr. Shexnana.
Well, they're essentially getting finished. I stopped and spoke with the superintendent this week, and but one thing I do want to bring forth to the council and to the administration is I would really like to question DODT on this project. I know Mr. Turner has called them, and they made a statement that they have 15 patches currently right now, some large patches on the road. When they started, I've been monitoring it. I've been going out there and speaking with the workers and everyone, and when they started and it got down to the base course, it was failing at that point. And I know there was some questions about whether they ought to tear that up or not, and they weren't allowed to do. And they came back and they put a new base course, and then they put the finished course, and it was still failing. And so then they made the patches, and I know at DODT they said that it's not going to continue to fail, but I think that's a difference of opinion. I'm just concerned about the quality of the project as it is, and I think you're going to have some continued problems with it. The project started out to be a safety project. They had promised that they were going to widen it. They widened the bridge just slightly. They did not realign it as they started out to also, and so the road did not get 1 inch wider, which would be safer with all the big trucks. And they closed the road for 8 months. So the people of the parish has been in a great problems with that, had a great deal of problems with that, and we really didn't get an improvement on the road except for a new surface, and it's failing. And so I would just like administration to review and maybe have some meetings where we can really get out there. And also, the other thing about it is that the people's drives and the roads coming in, I know Loosemore and 941, the circular circumference of the aprons and everything is very short, and because the road's so narrow, you have to turn very sharply, and everyone's going off of the edges of the roads. It had been patched over the years, and that people were able to get on, and they've been patching those holes, but now they've gone back to the original part, so people are still having a lot of problems, and it's just a dangerous situation, and I just think that they need to review that. The traffic is back there greater than ever, and the problems are still there, and so and now they're just going a little faster. So
I'll ask Roy Smith, District 61 Administrator, to either come to the next meeting or have a representative come to the next meeting and give an update. Maybe they can answer some of these questions, if that's okay.
Okay. Because the answers we've been getting have been different from what we've been seeing out there, the contractor doing, and what the workers have been saying they're doing. So
we'll get in touch with them and take care of it.
Councilman Shakespeare, I have a question, please. The original scope, was it supposed to be another lane, or how much wider was?
I was in probably 5 meetings with people at the Capitol, and it started out to where they were going to do, and let me back up. When I was on the Planning Commission, they made a report to the Planning Commission. They were going to 4-lane it at one time. Then it went to 3. Then they went to 2 lanes and some shoulders. And as they went into design, they kept reducing that. And my last meeting, when we got the plans, and I've got them at the house, they said that they were not going to put the shoulders, and I had a big problem with that, excuse me, due to safety reasons. We were under the impression it was going to be like 22 coming north of Sorrento, which is a pretty good, safe road. And when they cut that out, I objected very strongly to that, and they said, but, because everyone was running off the road, and they said, but we are going to widen the road 1 foot. And at least people would have had some leeway adjustment with the big trucks coming there, because there's no alternative route for big trucks. All the big trucks along the river have to go down 44. And so it's a dangerous situation, and they did not widen it 1 inch. It's exactly the same as it was before, even in the curves and everything. And now the only improvement we got, which was a great deal, we really appreciate it, is the turning lanes at the major intersections there. Yeah. And so, but it still presents the problems that they had of people running off the road in the curves and things of that sort. And I think it's an accident waiting to happen, and I just hate to see a project that could have been very well done turn out like it did.
Okay, sir, thank you. Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. President. Next, item 7, consent agenda. We need to adopt the minutes of the council meeting February 28th, 2008.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Mr. Todd Lambert, second by Mr. Councilman Randy Kluart. Any discussion? Any objection? Minutes are adopted. Next, we have our committee reports. Item 8, Transportation Committee, Chairman Dempsey Lambert.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. We had item A, speed limit reduction at Oakland Lane from 25 to 15. Our DPW director, they've completed all the studies and ready for a motion.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Todd Lambert, second by Councilman Chris Lohr. Any discussion? Any objection? Motion passes.
And I would ask at this time, Mr. Turner, you have anything for? Thank you. We'll have our next meeting on April the 8th, following the utilities. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Lambert. Next, number 9, item 9, Utilities Committee Report, Chairman Adrian Thompson.
Yes, we have a change order, which is change order number 2 for the Harryville Sewer Project in the amount of $5,318.15 from Parish Construction.
Motion.
That was a recommendation from the Utilities Committee that Mr. Dennis Cullen chaired.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilman Oliver Joseph.
Second.
Second by Councilman Todd Lambert. Any discussion? Any objection? Motion passes. Okay. Thank you, Councilman Thompson. The next item, item 10, I have, before we get into our committee report, I have I have 5 speakers. First would be Mr. Bill Dawson, please. This is Personnel Committee. Sir, you'll be allowed 3 minutes.
I won't take near that amount of time. First I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to talk and speak to you tonight. And I was hoping I would be kind of last on this and maybe pass, but since I came up first, I just wanted to say that this is not about me personally or anybody else personally, but it's about adding diversity to an already hard-working board. And I'd like to ask you to please give that serious consideration tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next will be Mrs. Weezy Cachette.
She's out here.
Okay. Next will be Mrs. Catherine Goplet.
Thank you, Chairman Bell. I am Catherine Guppelt. First of all, I want to thank you for listening on February 28th to the public comments under this agenda item and making the choice to investigate mental health. When you listen to the public and give careful consideration, you do earn our respect. If my words made you feel wrongly accused at that time, please forgive me. I am not the enemy. Not long ago, you stood where I am watching what was taking place, believing you could help fix problems, build relationships, and move our parish forward. You ran for public office. That took courage and commitment. I believe as you do, but stand here at this podium. The Louisiana Open Meetings Law at 7-1 says this: all public bodies shall keep written minutes of all their open meetings. The Personnel Committee meetings are open, including interviewing. Yesterday I was told there were no minutes of the meeting, but they were found today. If you don't want to look like you're hiding from the public, place all committee meetings on the monthly schedule, give notices of meetings well in advance, stick to agenda items, welcome public comment, and take minutes of all public meetings. Not following the law once is excusable due to ignorance. But when you know what is right and you continue to ignore the law, it really does appear that your actions are intentional. I understand that you have a learning curve. I would like you all to have a copy of the Louisiana Open Meeting Law. It states at 1A, it is essential to the maintenance of a democratic society that public business be performed in an open and public manner, and that citizens be advised of and aware of the performance of public officials and the deliberations and decisions that go into making public policy. A 1999 amendment requires that public bodies post a copy of this law at their place of meeting. Article 12, Section 3 of the Louisiana Constitution also says, no person shall be denied the right to observe the deliberations of public bodies and examine public documents, except in cases established by law. In the Declaration of Independence, the fourth of 28 grievances that led to the American Revolution said this about the King of England: he has called together legislative bodies at places unusual, uncomfortable, and distant from the depository of their public records, for the sole purpose of fatiguing them into compliance with his measures. Our founding fathers believed these freedoms were worth fighting for. It is my hope that you will make it easy, not hard, for public participation. Thank you for listening, and I'm going to hand this out. I'll give you each a copy of this. It's 9 pages. It'll probably take 30 minutes to read. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Mandel, would you like to add something to that? I don't feel that we have did anything wrong with our public meetings.
As far as I know, in speaking with Council Secretary, we in fact did comply with open meetings. It was posted in advance and on the website, and minutes were taken.
Thank you, ma'am. Next, we have Mrs. Teresa Robert.
Good evening, gentlemen. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you tonight. Our Burnside, Hueyville area and Sorrento have not had representation on the fire board for a number of years. We were told the reason for this was no one from this area had volunteered. It is important to residents to have a representative from our area on the fire board. This is why Mr. Bill Dawson from Pelican Point submitted his resume for consideration. Mr. Dawson's qualifications are impressive, and his dedication is without question. Just last month, he spearheaded a fundraiser for our 5th District Fire Department and raised over $15,000. His education is in engineering management, and he retired from Exxon in Baton Rouge after several decades. He is presently employed by NPC Services, a company formed by 9 petrochemical companies to clean up the petroprocessor site, a major Superfund site located right there in North Baton Rouge. He's managed this company for over 20 years. He answers to a board of 5. And Mr. Dawson is responsible for a $200 million budget. He implemented and set up the first responder team, a hazardous materials team, and a fire team at the petroprocessor site. The Personnel Committee's recommendation to the Council tonight is that the fire board be made up of only parish firemen. Is this the best scenario to make the best decisions for the future of fire protection and safety in our parish? Diverse representation is necessary for the most effective and successful outcome as we face the many challenges in our fast-growing parish. Representatives of all groups are valuable, but all of any one group is questionable. Gentlemen, I encourage you tonight to appoint Mr. Dawson to the Fire District Number 1 Fire Board. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. I will move right along with our committee report, appointments to Fire Protection District Number 1 Board and Waterworks Number 2 Board. Councilman Benny Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Personnel Committee met and interviewed 9 applicants for the Fire District Number 1 Board, which there were 4 vacancies, 3 full-term vacancies, and 1
I think we have another public speaker.
I don't have a card. Nope, don't have it.
I saw him turning in the card, but we need to push that.
She might have came in later.
Who is that? We got the ones you. Right, that's it. Bill Dawson, Weezy Cassette, Teresa Robert, and Miss Goppel. That's all I got.
Give her 3 minutes.
Yeah. Ma'am, come on up, please.
We'll take about 30 seconds.
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Sandra McCrae. Sorry about the confusion. I live in Pelican Point, and I just mostly wanted to point out a couple of things. One is that Pelican Point is responsible for over $1 million in property taxes, and we feel that we should have a representative from our area on this board. And I'd also like to reiterate the need for diversity on the board. The board, which is currently composed of fire chiefs and assistant fire chiefs, we think there should be a representative from the business community on this board. Just like the corporate model for boards, this board should also be diverse. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Councilman Johnson.
Yes, sir. Again, the Personnel Committee met on March the 19th for interviews. We interviewed 9 candidates for Fire District Number 1 Board, and we had 1 application for Waterworks District Number 2. It was discovered that the gentleman who applied for Waterworks District Number 2 did not live within the boundaries of the water district, so unfortunately we did not conduct an interview to fill any positions on that board at this time. We had a full slate. We want to thank the applicants that we had apply for these different positions, and they were all well qualified to fill the positions. The board came up with a vote and voted to nominate Mr. Darius Wayne Hill, Mr. James LeBlanc, Mr. Nat Stevens to fill the 2 full terms, and Mr. Brent Smith to fill the unexpired term for the remainder of this year. we'll make that in the form of a motion.
I'll second that.
I have a motion, a second by Councilman Cullen. Any discussion?
I think we should vote on them separately. Thought that's what we normally do.
We can do that.
It's fine.
Let's, who do you have first?
First candidate be Nathaniel Stevens.
Okay.
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Thompson.
Second.
Second by Councilman Cullen. Any discussion? Councilman Shakespeare?
Yes. First of all, I want to say that I do appreciate, I was looking over, we got the resumes today, right before the meeting, and I was looking over the resumes, and I'm very proud of the fact that people of this stature are coming out and volunteering to be on these boards, and I think that's what we need to do to be successful, and I want to tell everyone I appreciate that. Everyone on that list is very, very highly qualified, and so we want to make that known. We appreciate that. But also, I'd like to make it known, I think fundamentally we need to start thinking a little bit different way. We've been having some problems with Fire District number 1, and we're getting ready to, because of the complexity of it. This is the basic fundamental nature of a board is that it's a business board. They conduct the business of Fire District number 1. They don't fight the fires. They don't have to have the firefighting expertise. Their basic job is to do the budget, to select a fire chief, which is pretty much generally acknowledged as coming up, and to plan in the near future, I know this is coming up, to plan for funding increase by taxing increase of Fire District number 1, which will come before a vote of the people. For all of those reasons, I think you need to have business people that are involved in the fire board. I think it's very, very important, and it'll also give you the diversity and the separations and the impropriety of a conflict of interest. I would, any one of these fire chiefs, I would be proud to have them as my fire chief and proud to have them as my fire board member, but not both in the same time. Because, you know, when you think about it, you're selecting a person that's a fire chief within a district that's going to be governing or choosing the fire chief that's actually working for them. And yet they're supposed to be working for the fire chief whenever they're the district fire chief whenever they are fire chiefs in the station. And I think that's a direct conflict of interest, and to put anybody in that situation. Also, we're looking at a funding mechanism to increase funding, like Prairieville did, to better serve the people. And you have people on the board that are answerable to their own fire departments. And it just puts them in a situation where it appears to be a conflict of interest. And again, very, very, very outstanding people. But one of our biggest problems we haven't had the participation from the public in the past, the business people, on the fire boards. And it's kind of forced us to get fire chiefs and people that were so interested in it. These people dedicate their lives to fighting fires in this parish. I can't tell you how much time and how many emails. I got to compliment Mr. James LeBlanc from Santa Mo. I don't know how he does it with all the time that's involved in emails I get and everything things that they are doing. So they're doing the time. But I just think now that we have people that are willing to come forward. If you look at the business expertise that we have on the applicants, it's unquestioned. The question we did have, and everybody has, is that if we put business people on the board, where would we get the expertise for the fire decisions that need to be made? And I think we can do the same thing that we did on the Economic Development Corporation, is we put 2 ex officio members of the council because we were concerned about economic development kind of following in line with the wishes of the council. and we put 2 members on the Economic Development Board as ex officio members. They go to the meetings, they participate, but they do not vote. And I think we could do this with the fire board. We could take a couple of the fire chiefs and put them on the board as ex officio members. They could be there for expertise. They could lend their opinions, but they would not vote. We would have the business people that would vote and run this. And I think we would get a greater diversity. We would get the sense of separation. I think we would get more acceptance by the people in the district for a funding mechanism and an increase in taxes, that things are going to be spent in a fair and equitable manner. So I offer that as a substitute motion, is that we take it back to personnel with the idea of appointing some fire chiefs as ex officio members and have the rest of the board not be fire chiefs, since we do have enough people to be selected from there. And we've done this already. We've gone back to personnel already because of a process, and I think this could be done, and I think it would be more satisfactorily done in this particular situation.
I have a substitute motion. Second by Councilman Valentine. Any discussion? Councilman Valentine.
Benny.
Yes, sir.
On the people that are up for their terms, or are we in jeopardy of any of them overlapping, or?
What you have, Mr. LeBlanc, Mr. Stevens, and Mr. Hill are expired, or the terms expired in December of last year, so they're up for reappointment. The unexpired term is the one that I vacated, and Mr. Smith would fill that through the end of this year, at which time you have 2 appointments that will be coming up at the end of this year for reappointment. I don't think you'll have anything as far as any overlap, as if I understand your question correctly.
Okay.
Any more discussion? Any opposition?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Check.
Could I have a roll call, please, Ms. Patterson?
Councilman Joseph?
Opposed.
Councilman Shake Snyder?
Yes.
Councilman Thompson?
Opposed.
Councilman Dempsey Lambert?
No.
Councilman Kluai?
Opposed.
Councilman Lohr?
Opposed.
Councilman Valentine?
Yes.
Councilman Todd Lambert?
Yes.
Councilman Cullen?
Opposed.
Councilman Johnson?
Opposed.
We've got 7 nays and 3 yeas.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Go back to the original motion. Motion carries. Second, Mr. Johnson?
Yes, sir. Second point would be Mr. James LeBlanc.
Motion. Motion by Councilman Thompson. Second by Councilman Valentine. Any discussion? Any opposition? 1 opposition. Councilman Shake Snyder. Motion carries. Third, Mr. Johnson.
Mr. Darius Wayne Hill.
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Dempsey Lambert, second by Councilman Cullen. Any discussion? Any opposition? Opposed by Councilman Shake Snyder. Motion carries.
And the last one to fill the unexpired term would be Mr. Brent Smith.
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Joseph.
Second.
Second by Councilman Cullen. Any discussion? Any opposition? Discussion, I'm sorry. Councilman Lambert?
Yeah, Mr. Bell, for future reference on committee meetings, I think in the future we need to get this information that we're going to be voting on at these committees ahead of time. We got all this information the night of the committee, didn't know whose applicants was going to be sitting in front of us. Didn't have any time to research or go through them. So it was a meeting that we had to make a move on that I don't think we was prepared to do so. So future meetings we need to get there up front at least a week ahead of time, the literature and the resumes of all these people that make these jobs.
Right. Any more discussion? Councilman Joseph.
I'd like to offer a substitute motion to put Mr. Bill Dawson on board.
We have a motion by Councilman Thompson. Second by Councilman Shakespeare. Any discussion? Councilman Joseph.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a problem with the policy that we have in our book. Our book only says that we only have 2 requirements for anyone to be on the board. That's to be a taxpayer and a resident of that district. That's the only criteria we have to go on besides the information in front of us. If we're going to change the rules and put, items on there that we need to make a board member qualified, have specific items they need to have to be on this fire board, I think we need to go back and pass an ordinance regarding that. But currently, those are the only 2 qualifications you need to be on any board in Ascension Parish. So I have we sit there, we look at those resumes, we interview them, and then we use our best judgment based on the information and based on this policy. That's the way I chose it. And now we come here, and the decision and policy that we have in front of us is not good enough for some. Now, we abide by the law for some things, and then we don't abide by the law. I mean, I think everybody that sit on that board knew that. Every committee or every board have the same requirement. I just have a problem with, if we're going to put criteria for board members, we need to pass those criteria in an ordinance and go through strategic planning with those requirements. There's a process. Then each board member, each councilman, or anybody that's going to be on the selected board will know that. If they don't meet their requirement, they're not eligible to be on this board. But currently, everybody that came up to this board lived in the district, and was a taxpayer. That's what I based my judgment and the way I chose those people. So I just have a problem with us changing the rules as usual, because I have been in those situations before. The rules have been changed on me, and I didn't like it. So, I mean, let's stick with the rules. That's all I have to say.
Chairman
Thank you, sir. Any more discussion?
Chairman Bell, if we're going to add a member to the board, you all are going to have to amend the ordinance to allow for an additional board member. It can't be done in a resolution. So if that's something that you're interested in doing, we need to do it that way.
Right. We've talked about it, but we're not doing that tonight.
Well, didn't we just appoint
the motion
more members?
was that we were voting on the third person,
last member.
the last member?
The 4th person, yes, sir.
And your motion is to, your substitute motion is to disregard that member?
No, to vote on another member. We could vote him up or down.
Yeah. We'll have to do what council said with the resolution to add a position.
Substitute motion means...
I know what substitute motion is.
Okay.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, we're not adding a position. We're coming down to the last position, and it's the recommendation of a committee for a certain individual. And what we're doing is that it still comes to us for a vote. We can either follow that recommendation, or we can make another recommendation.
And that's basically what I said. We had a first and we had a second on the secondary motion.
Member.
Right.
On the last member, and second motion, substitute motion,
That's right.
was to select someone else instead.
That's correct.
So we're not creating another position.
I mean, y'all confused me. That's why I said any more discussion, and then, and that's what I'm asking. Any discussion on the secondary motion?
Mr. Chairman, again, everybody that applied had unique qualifications to sit on this board and met, like Mr. Joseph talked about, met the qualifications that are there. The folks that were selected by the committee after interviewing these folks and going through their qualifications as well as talking to them and doing interviews. If the committee, if you want to question how the committee operates or how the committee goes about doing the selecting, that's fine. If you want to ask questions of those candidates during that meeting, my understanding of the Personnel Committee and the way it operates, that's allowed. But to just arbitrarily take out one person that was decided by the committee to install somebody else, I don't think that looks right. You need to not necessarily honor every time, and it's up to us to do that. But if you want to go back and look at this from a standpoint of view of saying who's there or not, what's the committee meeting for if we're not going to do that?
I'm going to rescind my motion. Substitute.
Councilman Cullen.
Yes, I feel that the 4 people that we voted on are the best qualified people that we had that night. And I believe that then, and I believe that now, that these people we voted on ought to stay on tonight.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else? Councilman Valentine.
I just want to clarify something, guys. Personnel Committee was only created 4 years ago. We used to hand a name around the table. We used to vote. That's how you used to do it. Mr. Joseph is right. I was part of it. He got voted off by an old council because of a vendetta, and he was put back on because it was the right thing to do. But what you gentlemen need to understand, and I'm sure you do, don't take this personal. If you go through committee, just because it come out of committee in an affirmative way, that doesn't mean that the majority of the council doesn't rule if a substitute motion is made. It's been pointed out that they want diversity within the fire board. Mr. Shakespeare made the motion. That motion failed. So we're not going to go back and redo. The horse is not out the barn and out. We're not going to redo the ordinance. Not going to redo all that. Mr. Thompson simply made a substitute motion in place of Mr. Smith for a diversity situation which we would have requested. It's a vote up or down. I mean, we're not criticizing anybody's motives, not criticizing anybody's reasoning for the Personnel Committee. I know it's difficult to do that. I did it. I mean, it's difficult to go through that situation. So don't take this personal. Just,
All right, thank you, sir. All right, back to the original motion. Councilman Thompson has rescinded his substitute motion. The original motion, we've got a first and a second. We have it on Mr. Smith. Any objection? Motion passes.
Mr. Chairman, we're setting up we will have a Personnel Committee meeting on the 10th of April.
Okay, sir. Next, I'll move to item 11, Strategic Planning Committee report. And before we get into Councilman Shakespeare's report, Mrs. Catherine Goppel.
Thank you again, Councilman. When the previous administration arbitrarily and illegally increased the fee to $1 per copy for public records in October of 2005, the Council, by charter at Article 6, Section 1, unanimously set the fee by ordinance at 25 cents per copy. This is why the ordinance was originally created. The process for obtaining public records does need some improvement, and I do commend you, President Martinez, for your efforts to address the issue. Thank you. There are some notational errors that need to be fixed prior to adoption before you put it into advertise, just not to be confusing. There were no small a, b, or c in the original ordinance. Roman numerals were used, and I think these can be easily changed, and I have given Ms. Manda a copy of what I think mirrors the original ordinance that you passed. And I've also made some copies for you of the Louisiana Revised Statutes relevant to public records for your reference. Please note Section 33B, which I have highlighted for you. It applies to the immediate release of public records. Releasing public records for review in a timely manner opens the door for public participation in our government. I do thank you for recognizing the rights of citizens to have access to public documents and communicating through this ordinance that you intend to follow all the appropriate laws. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Strategic Planning Committee report, Councilman Shake Snyder.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We had a meeting, and Ms. Manda had recommended we update the ordinance on providing for setting reasonable fees for Parish of Ascension, provide copies of public documents. She went over everything and updated a few things, and we added a cost for CDs, and we more in line with the state regulations on everything. And Ms. Manda, you may make a comment, synopsis for everyone.
Right. The only thing I'd like to add, Councilman Scheck-Snyder, is that we don't have a chief administrative officer right now, so in the absence of a chief administrative officer, we would like to go ahead and appoint the parish paralegal as custodian of all the legal records. So that is also included in the ordinance.
With that, I'll offer a motion.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Shake Snyder, second by Councilman Valentine. Any discussion? Any objection? Motion passes.
That's all we have in our report. Mr. Chairman, we haven't been having any regularly scheduled meetings with strategic planning until our planning and zoning director comes on board and gets
right. So he should be coming on board Monday.
Right, and that's why we didn't want to have anything that would be in conflict with what he's trying to do.
Okay.
So unless something comes up from administration to be addressed, we're not going to set it until we get him on board.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Okay. Next, item 12, we have general business. Resolution certifying population census for the volunteer fire departments in Fire District Number 1. Councilman Johnson and Fire Board Chairman James LeBlanc.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this is similar to what we did last month for District 3 and certifying the population for the departments. It's applicable to the 2% insurance rebate money that the departments receive through the state.
Okay.
Motion. Second.
Who's the motion? I'm sorry.
Todd.
Motion by Councilman Todd Lambert, second by Councilman Cullen. Any discussion? Any objection? Motion passes. Item 13, cooperative endeavor agreement with the City of Donaldsonville to install a force main pipeline from the Ascension Parish Jail to the Donaldsonville Sewer Treatment Plant. Councilman Joseph.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to rescind this resolution, and the reason why this resolution, if you look at a copy of, we have an item here that item number 13 from GSA that represent the City of Donaldsonville. Originally, when this went in effect, they had a capacity estimate, the parish had to purchase. In the current resolution right now, they do not have that in there, and the other reason is the current engineer that we have on board for the jailhouse have not come back with any cost estimate of anything like that with an agreement with the City of Donaldsonville. And this here is also, the bigger picture is with Mr. Shakes out in District 2 also going to be adding Lemonville on this here, and that's going to add also some more capacity space. He also have ABIN that he'll be looking at getting another state grant at. That when we renegotiate this agreement, this will eliminate the parish of any responsibility of DEQ, EPA, because the city will take all responsibilities on the sewage waste matter in the future. And I looked at it, and it would benefit the parish in the long haul that they won't have to deal with that. As you know, sewers do not make any money. So we will be doing a great deal to the community on the west side in that area, plus providing that service. But also, it would save us money in the long haul over in the future. So that's the reason why I'm asking for to rescind this resolution.
Okay, you got a motion?
Finish it. I make a motion to rescind it.
I've got a motion by Councilman Joseph, second by Councilman Johnson. Any discussion? Councilman Shakespeare.
Where are we, Mr. Martinez, on this cooperative endeavor agreement?
Well, I think the mayor had signed it. The city of Downsonville had signed it. President Hughes hadn't signed it. Now we looking. I'm waiting for council approval to do it. So we haven't signed it yet.
Well, and what I'm is there any?
They have came to the council approve it, and this is the reason I requested to rescind it, and I spoke to you on behalf of that with the mayor of Downsonville.
Right.
Well, and my question is, what in here do we need to get to protect the parish? I mean, I'm sure this is an administrative thing.
Well, we have been negotiating with them. We want to make sure that they have the capacity, for one thing. The other thing is we want to make sure at what cost it's going to be. We just can't give them a blanket check, and then every year it's going to continue to go up.
What is your recommendation to add to the cooperative endeavor agreement so we can move forward?
Well, Mr. Joseph and Mr. Sullivan have been talking. I haven't been involved in those.
Well, I haven't been involved in them either.
Discussions, so
you know,
you may want to talk to Ms. Amanda. She's probably been involved.
Yeah, and you know, since it is in my district, I would appreciate if I would be involved in the discussions, because this certainly is something new to me tonight. I just appreciate that.
And like I said, I knew there was a.
And so, in the future,
Linda, you got anything on that?
That there is a problem.
The problem is there's no fee schedule or cost estimate. In fact, our engineer hasn't even fully designed the project yet. So,
right, and the reason that the engineer is not that's not their scope of work. That was taken away because they're not project management on this. Parish had taken over that part of it, and so I just wanted to know who in the parish administration is negotiating this.
Well, I would think it'd be Ms. Amanda and Oliver has been handling it and dealing with the mayor. I really haven't taken part in a lot of the discussions, Mr. Shakespeare, so I can't answer your question.
Okay. Thank you.
Councilman Thompson.
Yes, Councilman Joseph did need to come back in the form of an ordinance whenever y'all come up with the fee schedule and the direction you're going in.
I agree with you there, Councilman Thompson.
To this board.
I agree with you there, Councilman Thompson. Now, this, Ms. Manda, this already have been passed, and the president have the authority to sign this currently right now. I'm asking to rescind it because it was under the other administration, and with the new legal, we found some flaws in this agreement. So for the parish and for the city, that we won't be going with the jail and then we have difficult problems in the future, we rescind this here and renegotiate it, like Councilman Thompson said, according to an ordinance, to have these fees set forward.
Councilman Thompson.
Resolution is non-binding. So we really don't even have to, we can just pass, we don't have to.
Councilman Valentine.
Yeah, just for a point of clarification, and Councilman Thompson's right, and plus that'll pass, the president didn't sign it, so it's not. I guess, though, we did discuss this. Was this not brought through the Utilities Committee? And I thought when we made the motion to pass this, that the fees were supposed to be negotiated. No? Is that not right, Mr. Joseph?
These fees was negotiated on a piece of document that the current the engineer that had negotiated these fees is not involved with this here. So that's where that proposal came from.
Yeah.
And the current engineer right now has
Right.
not met with the city of Downsonville to come with any
Right.
fees.
I remember now. In other words, an engineer gave us suggestions on what to charge, what have you, but we didn't really stipulate that. But I thought that we had passed with the stipulation that negotiation be done for the sake of getting the jail project moving and what have you, and what have you. Okay, I'm good with that. That's no problem. Maybe Mr. Matassa has something to add to it.
Yeah.
As far as the fees, they'll be the normal fees per gallon, but it's the retention to the plant itself that never was negotiated because the engineer that did the numbers on it is not the engineer on the project. You understand?
Yeah, I understand. Let's just
Councilman Clore.
Yes. Fellow councilman, we just need to put this thing off, let it go back to utilities, let the parties that are involved in it, the council members in that area, the administration, go ahead and negotiate. I really don't want to be a part of anything that doesn't have a fixed fee hooked to it, and we know what we're getting into. And I think most of us feel that same way.
Any more discussion? Okay. Any objection? Motion carries. Item 14, Parish financial considerations. We do have one speaker, Ms. Catherine Goppel.
Thank you, gentlemen. Parish financial considerations was on the agenda, and I did go into the office to check to see what documentation was along with this item, and there was nothing. But they said they were drafting a document, and I picked that up today, and it's, I don't know if you got a copy of it, but it's just some scribbles on a piece of paper. So I don't really know what's going to be talked about or what's going to be considered. Thank you, President Martinez. How is the public going to review a document and know what to discuss or make any intelligent comments when the document doesn't even exist? This is really a problem. Council members, if I were in your shoes, and I do sympathize with you, I would not want to make a hasty decision or to be asked to move on an item that I didn't even have opportunity to see the documents. President Martinez, we've discussed this previously, and slipping documents into meetings at the last minute is really not very considerate to the public or to the council. Politics of this kind may be a part of your past, but I really don't think it should be a part of our future. Mr. Martinez, if you really want to foster a spirit of cooperation, which you promised would be the hallmark of your administration, it would be helpful to have your documentation ready for the councilman's packet. Otherwise, it really does appear that you're using the agenda to hide what you're about to do. The promise of an open-door policy is empty rhetoric if the citizens are being kept in the dark. When
hold it to the subject. We're not persecuting our president.
No, I'm talking about this.
Yes, ma'am.
This
I
agenda
understand.
item, sir.
I understand.
I just was given the item. I was just given it in front of the TV camera. I was just given the piece of paper. That's very rude. An open-door policy means the public has access to public records in a timely manner. All matters of business should be done in the light of the public eye. President Martinez and Chairman Bell, you have responsibility to set the agenda. A little planning would help to ensure that what has happened in this case is the exception and not the rule. Thank you.
President Martinez.
First thing, Mr. Bell, this item does not require a vote. It's informational. We met with our auditor. We wanted to give the new councilman an update on the finances in the parish. There's no conspiracy or anything else to stop anyone in the public from getting any information. This information is a simple, really just informational thing that you don't have to vote on. Nobody's going to ask you for a resolution. It's just to bring the new councilman and the councilman who's been here in the past up to date on what we are looking at in the future. And it's about money, and it's something that, we need to look at, because from what we're looking at in the past, and it's just been I guess a practice, was that, you bring something up, you discuss it, you go through the introduction of the ordinance, and even go through it, through all the process, but yet, in a lot of instances, we don't take what effect it's going to have on the budget in future years. So this is something that we want to make sure that when a big ticket item that's going to be not a one-time expenditure, that over time will continue to cost you, we want to make sure that it goes to the Finance Committee, and that way we can look at it with Ms. Gwen LeBlanc, can look at the budget, see what the long-term effects are, and then report back to us, because it may be something that you're not aware of. So that's basically why we asked to meet with Bert Falk. For what Ms. Goppler's got, that's what we had. It was kind of a worksheet that we looked at, but we have 72 hours to give her information. So we gave it to her. We gave her what we had. We tried to accommodate in every which way as we could with her and others as far as getting public information. We got Mr. Shex now in strategic planning to go over the rules, rewrite them, do what's best. But for some people, it doesn't matter if we talk about apple pie and baseball, they're going to feel like it's been a conspiracy there. So basically, what I'm saying, this is something good. It's educational for you, and it's something that we need to look at in the future when you're going to have big ticket items, to whereas we need to know what the net effect's going to be on the budget in upcoming years. So with that, I'm going to call Mr. Falk up.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Tommy Lejeune and Mr. Bert Falk.
Thank you, Mr. Bell. Really, as President Martinez says, this is simply information. One of the problems I've had, even in looking at it, is just where do you go from here, and what does it mean? I think that really, Tommy asked us to look at what are the financial trends of the parish and what are some key considerations we would consider from a financial point of view, and in particular to look at the surge programs that are in operation. And one thing that it certainly occurred to us is, as we looked at this in some detail, is that seemingly you might say the council, the parish, has put its foot in the water, but on further examination, your commitment is probably much more substantial than what you realize if you project it out over several years into the future. I don't have to tell you that this is a critical time for the parish. I mean, it's in a rapidly transitioning stage. The need for infrastructure, for operations, and basic government services is certainly growing at a faster rate than your resources would permit you to meet those needs. And this is simply food for thought in terms of what you're going to be presented with tonight. We had about a 2-hour meeting Monday evening on this with Tommy, Gwen, some people from the finance department, as well as leadership from the council. So I'm going to try to take this and condense it down into a short presentation of the key facts. One thing that's certainly true here is understanding parish finances is a complex issue. There are like 60, 70 funds, I'm not really sure, that the parish operates out of. And this represents essentially different buckets of resources that you have to operate from, and you've got to be cognizant of the restrictions associated with each one of those funds. Really, there's most of the funds are committed in terms of how they come and where the money's going to. The parish itself has very little
flexibility relative to unrestricted funds. So I'm going to run through this and make some key points as we go through it, and really I think it's an opportunity for y'all to ask questions and to really start engaging a dialogue relative to where the parish is going from a financial perspective. As you're aware, the 1 cent sales tax is an unrestricted fund. Basically, it's an unrestricted source of revenue to the parish, and it represents where a lot of the funding has come from that has allowed the parish to meet the parish needs. Looking at the recap here, and I'm just going to make a few key points on this. Sales tax have grown. In 06, they were just shy of $13 million. 07, it's jumped up to in excess of $14 million. The budget for 08 is at $13.5 million. Now, the Finance Committee always budgets relatively conservative future sales tax. That is not a surprising number that they would budget a lesser number, because they're just very conservative in terms of making these projections. What is key about this is the amount of money that just goes to normal governmental recurring programs. This represents a source of unrestricted money, as I say, and you would think, to my way of thinking, that a good portion of this would be available for new programs, maybe new projects. But if you look at how the money is, where it's going to, a good bit of it is, well, the overwhelming majority is to support ongoing recurring programs of the parish. One of the first things that comes to mind is looking at the jail bond fund, and you can see between 07 and 08 that jumps from $280,000 to $800,000. And I have further in here a specific section relative to the jail. Then you look at the money that goes into the general fund from the sales tax fund, $5.1 million, $4.8 million, and then $6.2 million in 08. And then look at the transfers out to the different funds there. Criminal court gets some money. Once again, operation of the jail, because the jail is in a separate fund by itself. The tourist center gets some money. The maintenance funds are a dedicated fund for the maintenance of parish properties, buildings, and that sort of thing. But basically, you can see the amount of money that comes out of the general fund that's transferred to other funds. So the net into the general fund to operate the general fund is basically $3 million in 06, $3.4 million looking at 08. The next major section there is the Road and Bridge Maintenance Fund, and you can see there the between 06 and 08, the amount of funding dedicated has gone from $2.8 million to $5.1 million to simply operate the Road and Bridge Fund. Road Construction Fund in 06, almost $4 million went into it. $1 million went in to the fund in 07. Basically, the way the budget ordinance has been approved is that any excess sales tax money is split 50-50 between the road construction and the water wastewater fund. That determination is really not made until the end of the year, so that's why the 08 numbers are blank. Amount of money going into recreation is basically 10% of net sales tax, so that's about $1.2 million over that period. And then you see monies dedicated to the Lamar-Dixon Center. The sum of all that comes to about $14 million. Look at it, 07 and 08, $14 million. And that simply represents a dedication of what would be unrestricted money that provides y'all some financial flexibility to supporting ongoing recurring programs of the parish that are essential to your operation. I'm going to speak to the jail, to the Road and Bridge Fund, Lamar-Dixon, and Surridge in greater detail. But that basically sums it up for the first page, and that is the amount of money that is taken from the undedicated, unrestricted sales tax fund to support ongoing operations of the parish. Flip it over to the next page, the Road and Bridge Fund. The first one there is just your basic maintenance fund. And as Gwen alluded to earlier in the Finance Committee, y'all derive something less than $800,000 from state funding. That comes from the Parish Transportation Fund of the state. It's allocated on a statewide basis. And, of course, it's not near enough money to support your roads and that sort of thing. As I mentioned earlier, the money going into this fund by way of sales tax has gone from $2.8 million in 06 to $5.14 million in 08. So that's almost a doubling of it. Additionally, y'all are taking in, the parish is taking in new roads from subdivisions all the time, and we know that the effort to maintain those roads as well as other roads, and even to the necessity of y'all to spend money on state roads is going to continue to increase, so there's no reason to think that the amount of money necessary just to maintain roads is not going to grow at a fast rate. You do have a dedicated 2/3 of 1/2 cent sales tax. You can see approximately $3 million plus or minus has gone to the road construction fund out of this money, and basically $1.5 million has gone into the debt service fund. $3 million is not a whole lot of money to spend for road construction here in the parish with the needs that y'all have. The road construction fund has, at the end of 07, gone up to about $24 million. The budget projection is that y'all would spend something like $19 million this year. I don't know exactly where y'all stand with letting contracts, but I know it's the administration's intention to let that money, let those contracts in an orderly way over the next few years. Yes. No, go on.
That is bond money that was set aside for a widening program. That's why that $23, $24 million, that amount's in that. I think you're still finally getting through to the 2006, 2007 now, before it's getting it out to bid. So we're making progress. We're getting there. But I don't think we'll spend the whole $24 million this year, but it's just going to carry over next year. So anyway, I just wanted to let you know why that number was that big.
I'm going to move from item 2 to item 4 on the next page, and that is the jail. Right at this time, the projection is that the capital expenditures necessary to double the jail, the capacity of the jail, will run in excess of $10 million. There's some other add-ons that have been identified, and I can't tell you how much more than $10 million, but it will, in all likelihood, the construction costs will exceed $10 million. Of course, this is going to increase the capacity of the jail by over 350 prisoners, which is going to more than double the capacity of the jail. There are assets of about $9.7 million in the jail construction fund to fund the construction, so it's also obvious that y'all are going to have to come up with some additional funds to complete the construction. Now, this was to be completed in August of 08. I'm told now that it'll probably go into 09 before the construction is completed. Looking down, though, at the numbers, and this is on a combined basis, both the expenses to operate the jail, which essentially are covered by the parish, as well as the debt service, you can see that in 06, almost $1.3 million. The budget for 08 is at $2.9 million. And the anticipation was that the jail would be opened in August, and you'd be looking at an additional $100,000 a month to operate the jail. If you move that a year forward into 09 or a year later and increase the operating expenses by $100,000 for the 7 months, the cost of the operation of the jail plus the debt is up to $3.4 million, which is a far cry from the $1.3 million that you spent in '06 to operate the jail. And it just gives you an idea of how things are changing. With that, I would like to come back then to item 3 on the bottom of page 2, which recaps general fund mandates. And I've included in there the jail, which you've seen, both as to the operation of the jail as well as the debt. And then another, just a host of mandates that the parish is required to fund for other functions in the parish. And you can see, once you include the jail, that's going from $2.6 million to $4 million with the '08 budget. Now, I've included 3 items. They are not necessarily mandates, other than the fact that y'all do have a county agent, and these are expenditures that y'all are required to support if you choose to house a county agent. But I've added in there the GIS program as well as the economic development, because once again these represent new programs of the parish over the last few years. I think I was told that in '05 GIS cost maybe $200,000, but I know that both these are essential programs. I'm not speaking ill of them, but I'm just showing you the impact of new programs coming into the scope of government that is operated by the parish. And you can see that that's pushed up what I've sort of, in a hybrid manner, defined as general fund hybrids from general fund mandates from, let's say, $5 million to $7 million over the 3-year period that you have in front of you. Let's move to the next page. And this is Lamar Dixon. Of course, that facility has been under the operation or direction of SMG management. I don't think the budget projections have ever been met, except for the first year when the storm came in. That facility, you can see in '07 lost $939,000, $886,000 in '08 budget. Excuse me, that should be '06, '07, and then I didn't even worry about getting the '08 consolidated budget because I figure that's going to probably be in the range of $1 million. And obviously something needs to be done there. A minor item is, so to speak, on a relative basis, is the health unit. And once again, it just shows, I just want to show the impact of bringing on new programs without any funding. And that is, basically, this was a fund that had a fund balance of maybe $1.8 million, a considerable fund balance that it ran for a number of years. The fund balance has come down. It's still got an ample fund balance. It was almost $1 million at '06, a little over $1 million at the end of '07, and there is a deficit projected for of $341,000 for '08 that would bring the fund balance down to $782,000. But you can see animal control and mosquito control are just basically 2 programs that have been introduced. And once again, I'm not saying they aren't essential programs, but they are new programs into the mix, and they have cost you some money. And also have long-range implications, because let's say that you're running at even let's say a $250,000 deficit in this fund, with a fund balance of '08, at the end of '08 is $782,000. That fund balance will be eroded over a 3-year period. Flipping to the next page, sewage. One thing I would change there, I've got user fees of $300 per month since December of '07. That actually should be '04 is the appropriate date there. And I just ask you to flip to the next page, which is page 5. And I've highlighted some issues there. You can see that the revenue has been fairly consistent in these funds, maybe with the exception of Darrow Sewage, over the last 3 years. The budgeted revenue for '08 was less than the '07, so I just kicked it up to $60,000 to be comparable to what Country Ridge and Hope Villa was in '07, and Dara also moved up as well. In addition, this includes depreciation. It also includes sludge hauling and processing, which is going to be a new expense this year. You can see Country Ridge for '08 would have a deficit of about $59,000 on that loss. And you can see what's happened there. Expenses have gone from almost $41,000 in '06 to $119,000 in '08. Moving across to Hope Villa, expenses in '08 are at $154,000. Looking at '06, they were at $85,000. Dara, $98,000 in '06. '08 is $166,000. And you drop down and you look at the losses that are running there, $59,000 in Country Ridge, Hope Villa for next year, $94,000, and Dara, $138,000. If you drop down to the bottom of the page, you see the number of users there. You've got 220 users, Country Ridge, 140 at Hope Villa, 100 at Dara, and basically you're collecting $30 a month per user. The operating loss for the year per user is $268 at Country Ridge. It's $674 at Hope Villa, almost $1,400 in Dara Center, Dara. You would like to just be breaking even. And these are the kind of losses that you're confronted with. I think what's interesting is, and some people say, well, you know, you don't need to take depreciation into account because a lot of that money is funded by grants. But if you look at Country Ridge, for example, y'all will probably spend $653,000 to upgrade that system. The reason you need to recoup your depreciation is those systems require money to be upgraded and to keep them operationally. Look at the planned investment per user. At Country Ridge, at the end, once y'all get through with the improvements, there'll be $4,800 of planned investment per user for the right to lose $268. You come over to Hope Villa, $7,700 per user in terms of plant, and you're losing $674, and you can see what the numbers are on Dara. When I came into the Finance Committee meeting, I heard President Martinez say that y'all had spent $1.5 million on Country Ridge over the last, well, since the inception, and that's money the parish has put in to prop it up and keep it going. That works out to $6,800 per user. This is the money that you put into it. And I can tell you, of all of the things that y'all are involved with, sewage, you think you got your feet in the water, you think you're not making money, you're not expecting to make money, but I think you're up into your armpits with these isolated districts, because once you take them, you can bet that EPA and the state and all that is looking to y'all to maintain them. So let me come back to page 4 and just a real quick recap and summary. You can see that there's about $14 million of expenditures of various things that I've covered here. The Road and Bridge Fund, the maintenance, the Road Construction Fund, which is sort of tapering out relative to '06, sewage, and I don't know what that's going to cost going forward. If you look at the general fund mandates, excluding the jail, but with some of the new programs, that's gone. That's roughly $4 million. The jail is obviously moving to a more costly proposition for y'all. Recreation in Lamar Dixon. That the financial flexibility that y'all have by way of the sales tax fund is being curtailed and eroded all the time. And I tend to think that these, as you project these things into the future, that flexibility will continue to be eroded. So I don't, we had I don't know how long I'll spend here, 15 minutes or so, on a various number of topics that we discussed for 2 hours Monday, and so some others may want to have some things to add.
Mr. Falk, I'd like to call on Councilman Lohr, please.
Sure.
First, thank you, Mr. Falk, for your presentation. Just a couple of thoughts. As a new councilman coming in, getting my feet wet, digging into the parish finances, I must say it was a bit sobering to realize we're not in as good a financial position as you would think, being a booming parish that we are. Not that we're gloom and doom and all that, but certainly not as strong as I would have thought. So my thoughts ran towards how we got here and how do we address this going forward. And I think your example of the jail is an example of something we could have handled better in the past. A project that was estimated to cost around $5 million is ultimately going to cost us, you said, $10 million, possibly twice that. So was it a case of we didn't scope the project out, define the requirements well enough at the beginning, or did we just not hold people accountable? And I think what seems to happen with the council is people come before us with legitimate concerns, but we make these decisions without all the financial impact being considered. As Mr. Martinez said, we need to have a budget impact analysis done on any item that comes before us and that goes through Finance Committee. And we need to hold ourselves accountable to that as a councilman, as a council. And being chairman of the Finance Committee, I just had my second committee meeting a couple hours ago, but I'm going to take that use this report and take that as an action item, and I'm going to form a work group of as many councilmen as would like to join, the administration, finance, and our audit team of Falk and Winkler as well, and come up with a restructure of our finance committee and perhaps refocus on some of these big ticket items. Maybe we're not seeing the forest for the trees all the time, and trying to figure out how we're going to fund these big issues: sewer, Lamar Dixon, roads, etc. We can't just approve, which I think has happened in the past, approve these items because they seem to make logical sense, and then just worry about how to pay for it later. So I think it's all about making informed decisions based on sound fiscal practices, and I'm going to take that as, and we will have the recommendations at the next Finance Committee meeting.
Okay, thank you, Councilman Lohr. Councilman Joseph.
Yeah, once again, I'm going to echo Councilman Lohr, but I also want to give Parish President the insight to put this together. We have been having this discussion, side table with him. I've been part of recreation, and from that point of view, I always knew that was an issue. And once again, I got to give kudos to Parish President, give us this insight and putting this together with the finance. We've been hearing the rumors, but this here gives the parish, the people of the parish, a true picture of where we at and where we're going with it. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Joseph. Councilman Shea-Snyder.
I also want to thank Parish President. I appreciate this. This gives us an opportunity to take a look at things. A lot of times we sit up here and make decisions, and information such as this, which are long-term, the jail being one of them, all these sewer projects, as they are given to us, you get limited amount of information and projections that are given, and a lot of times they are not what they end up being. And I appreciate Mr. Martinez. I am not in the least bit offended that you waited till tonight to give us the information, because we wouldn't have understood it without a presentation. And I appreciate you doing this, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilman Shea-Snyder. Councilman Kluart.
Yeah, I'd just like to see, I know I've seen one before, a pie chart of our tax breakdown of what the taxes are within the parish, from 8.5 cents. And we got Channel 21. Let's put it on there. Let's let everybody see where the money's going to, right? And try to educate the folks on. We've got a lot of good, important elections coming up this year. We've got drainage coming up. We've got probably some propositions in other areas we're going to want to go to the taxpayers for. The best thing we can do is educate them on, get the pie charts up there, and let's see where the millage is at.
Councilman Glad, I'll own that as part of the Finance Committee, and I'll own that project, and we'll definitely do that. That absolutely needs to happen.
And also, I just feel like, it'll explain to people that the burden that the parish government has toward all the municipalities and all the buildings, and, include the judges' chambers, all this building right here, and everything, and the burden toward the jail is a separate burden than what the tax that was passed several years back for law enforcement. We've got great law enforcement, but we do keep up with every building every municipal building. We're accountable for it. It's just, just a little education out there, folks. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Clark. Anybody else? Councilman Lambert?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. And we've been talking for the last 4 years, been on the council, about prioritizing, the little half-cent sales tax that we have left to use. And, Lamar Dixon keeps coming up for us, and if you look at what we got presented here today, that's not our priority. Our priority is sewer. Sewer is fixing to be a mandate on us that we're going to have to do something with, and that half-cent sales tax is definitely needs to be looked at hard, and on a prioritized manner. So we need to look at that and keep our minds open on that also.
Councilman Clark.
Yeah, just, Ms. Gwynn, you can correct me if I'm wrong. Just to let everybody know, I think right now on our present tax status, what a half cent would give us? $10 million a year?
Parish-wide. 6.
Parish-wide, 10, 6. On rural, in the rural areas. Okay. Just let everybody know what kind of money you're talking about, depending on where we're going if we decide to go in that direction.
Thank you, Councilor Clark. Councilor Sexsnyder.
Yes, thank you. Parish President, I wasn't sure, somebody asked me this. On the jail, we house inmates from the municipalities, right, in our jail. And
I don't think the city of Gonzales utilizes their jail. I think there was an agreement signed. Right. I think when Mr. Marchand was president. I'm not sure when that was done. And Downsonville doesn't have a jail, so yes, we house.
Well, and that was my question. If the funds to operate and build the parish jail are coming off, am I correct, all from the rural areas, and there's not any, is funded from that? We don't get any funding from the municipalities, and yet we house all of the inmates or anyone that's living in the municipalities and arrested in the municipalities.
I would ask Ms. Gwynn that question, but I would think the answer is no, we don't. But Ms. LeBlanc,
do we get any funding from the municipalities to house their prisoners? What are our options, and can we get equal funding for that? Because I think that would be one option that we need to really take a look at, because the people of Ascension Parish just instantly believe that everyone's paying into the till to house prisoners, and I think we need to take a look at that and try to address that and get some help for the municipalities just paying their fair share. And
that's a hard thing to do, Mr. Sexsnyder.
I would like to establish that dialogue, because I think that's important for the people of the parish.
I'll do it.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Sexsnyder. Anybody else? Councilman Valentine.
Thank you, Chairman Bell. Just to speak to the item count, it would have been better if it had been under your parish president report. When you put it in the general, you kind of think, well, I don't have anything in my packet, none of the councilmen did either, and I think that's what Ms. Goffin was speaking to. A question, Bert, on the jail. Mr. Lowell just mentioned something. You made the statement it's going to cost us twice as much, but I don't think that's true. I mean, you got the bonding out. Now, this jail was thought out and in coordination with the sheriff. You taking into account that the sheriff is actually going to fund us money back from prisoners that are going to be housed in that area. We're going to split some money with him. We bonded out knowing full well what we're going to spend on it, and actually the bid came in lower than we suspected.
What I had said was that there was $9.7 million in the jail construction fund from the sale of bonds, And from what I've been told, there are some additional expenses that will probably drive the cost up over $10 million. Now, I don't know how much
Well,
it
yeah,
is.
there was some wants that people wanted that really wasn't in the original situation that may have done it, and we have control over that.
But
so
all I'm saying,
I mean, I don't want to speak to the fact that it just wasn't ill planned. It was very planned out in cooperation with administration and the sheriff's department in dealing with that. And we do get rebate from the sheriff from prisoners that he will house. We have that agreement with him, and he will pay us back monies over the 3 or 4 or 5 of the years, which may amount to a large sum of our bond indebtedness. Okay.
Okay.
The other thing, and you made a very good point, is the fact that we end up with these sewage plants, so to speak. And the grant money sitting out there, and we have a gentleman that comes here very often and says, well, we can work on this one. We just talked about one tonight.
Yes.
And that is what's getting us in trouble, because nobody wants to sit back and say, well, what is it going to cost us to fund it? We could have bought everybody a MODAD in that subdivision, obviously, top of the line, and been done with it. But that's what happens, because we got to look at that as a council. And when we say, oh, here's this grant money, we got to understand it costs money to run it, such as Lamar Dixon. We might get money for it, but it's going to cost money to run it. So we're going to need a reoccurring resource to make sure that these facilities, if we so choose to do that, continue to prosper and try to keep aside the hole as much as possible. But I mean, that's it in a nutshell.
And I would almost think, too, that looking at sewage, y'all almost need somebody at the parish level who's coordinating all these things. I mean, from what I gather,
I agree.
Y'all get caught behind the 8 ball with permits. I think that's what the plan is.
Yeah, I think the administration is well aware of that.
Okay.
I think so.
I believe
that's all.
I believe that's on the agenda. That's part of the plan. So.
Yeah. Okay.
Anybody else?
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Falk. Next, we'll go to grants. Ms. Martha Collins.
That is some money.
Mr. Chairman, members of the council, President Martinez, I know what I'm here tonight is probably just a drop in the bucket when we talk about the monies that we're looking at for funding the sewer and those type of things. But we do have a positive thing here tonight. We did get funded for $60,400. That is for the road safety, and it definitely works with our transportation. And so what we'd like to do tonight is to present a check to Mr. Bob Turner, and I would like to turn it over to him and let him tell you what we're doing with the funds.
Thank you, Martha, members of council, Chairman Bell. I'm really excited about this particular grant because it goes to what I consider the very heart of quality of life in the parish. When I first got here, one of the things that I was really disappointed about was the quality of our signage on our roads. At night, I couldn't see the signs. Now, I'm older, and so there are younger people that maybe can see them better than I could. But I had difficulty seeing the signs. I had difficulty, excuse me, seeing the striping on the road. And so we've made a recent effort to triple the amount of striping that we've done on the roads. We've striped roads that we haven't striped in the past. And these are not big ticket items. These are $100,000 total. And we've striped over 70 roads. And this particular grant is something that I'm really excited about because it goes right to the heart of our signage. I've got 2 examples, and if you don't mind, I'd like to get one and show it to you. This particular stop sign that I've got here is a good example of stop signs that we currently have throughout the parish. Now, when you look at this, this stop sign does not reflect at night. When you sit in the daytime, it looks fairly good, but there's very low reflectivity left in this sign. This sign's about 9 years old. And so we've got a lot of signs that are in this condition or even worse. I had them to give me this, and they just had taken it down and replaced it. Now I want to show you what we're replacing it with. This particular sign, as you can see and as you can see at home, is much more highly reflective. This sign will, your headlights will hit this, and you'll see this sign, and you'll see it for quite some time. The other sign's what's called engineering grade. This is called a diamond grade sign. The reflectivity on this sign will last a lot longer, be easier to see. Now these are just stop signs that I've got, but we've got speed limit signs, other regulatory signs using the funds out of these grants. Over 400 signs that this grant's going to allow us to do. These signs are going up now, and I'm really pleased about that. I'll apologize, I'll show it to the audience, but it's a highly reflective. In fact, you can't get any better sign than this. This is as highly reflective a sign as you can have. So I'm really very pleased to accept this grant in that case.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, well, we want to take a picture with everything as much as we can. Put it up there. Okay, we'll put it up.
Well, I didn't write it.
Do you want to bring up road signs?
Need to be there, bro. You need to get behind me. Get off to the side, bro.
I don't know if you can see.
Get under Chris's arm. Yeah. Hey, my brother.
You want me to?
I'm mad because I wanted to bring that guy who helped Fifth Ward.
Bob, or somebody want to come down here?
You want me to help you?
Come by.
Yeah.
Can't get everybody in there.
Y'all get close.
Can you see the stop sign? What?
You're over there doing it. Best place for Gibson Land.
Don't you do it. Mm-hmm. We might have to
Couldn't even see over the podium.
I think you got another too. Yeah, it is.
Y'all needed a break, huh? And I agree with Councilman Valentine. We're always asked to go out and get grants, and everyone thinks that grants, get grants, get grants. But I agree that when we go out for these and you ask us to do these, that we really look at what you want, what the cost benefit is, and the long term. There are grants out there, but we really need to be looking at making sure these are the best grants for the parish and not just be getting grants to get grants. So I definitely believe, and that's how we hope to handle that ourselves.
I will make that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Councilman Dempsey Lambert, second by Councilman Clewart. Any discussion? Any objection? Motion carries.
And I have two other items, Mr. Chairman. One is the Fire Act grant. This is being done through the fire departments. We have Fire District 2 in Donaldsonville that will be going out for this grant, and also Fire District 3. Now, these are federal funds, and that will enhance the funds that you're actually contributing from the state. So we're encouraging all the fire departments to really go out and work on these. I'd like a motion for that to go out, please.
Motion by Councilman Lohr, second by Councilman Schexnayder. Any discussion? Motion carries. Any
And the
opposition?
last one is the 2008 Governor's Recreation Trails Grant. This will be the third grant that we've gone out.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Moved by Councilman Todd Lambert, second by Councilman Kluart. Any discussion? Any objection? Motion carries.
Excuse me,
Thank
Mr. Chairman. Martha, just
Yes, sir.
for information on the Fire Act grant, how much are they? How much is that?
The fire departments are doing these. They're up to 250,000 or up. It depends on what they're actually going to apply for. I know that in the last year, the Donaldsonville Fire Act, they got 235,000.
Okay.
And I believe he's going out this year to try and get a vehicle, a fire truck. I'm not sure what the Prairieville department's going to go out. It's strictly stuff to enhance their fire departments.
Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, if I might, Ms. Shakespeare, within the districts, what they've done the last few years is mostly use that on communications. Since Katrina and really the communication issue has really progressed in the parish. Again, we're leading the way parish-wide, statewide, as far as coming up with the communications to be able to cooperate and communicate with everybody across the state, during an emergency event. They've used it for the training center within District 1 and different items like that, but like Ms. Martha said, it depends on what they're trying to get, anything from a fire apparatus to safety trailers, fire prevention material, or different types of appliances or anything for the fire service. Again, it just depends on the grants and what they apply for.
Any questions?
Anybody else?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you, Martha. Next, we'll move into our public hearing ordinance section, number 16. I will have a speaker. I'll need a motion to open public hearing, please.
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Johnson.
Second.
Second by Councilman Shakespeare. I will read the public hearing to consider an ordinance to convene an advisory commission to review the Home Rule Charter adopted May 14, 1993, and approved by the electorate on July 17, 1993, to determine if any amendments and/or repeals of current provisions are warranted. Ms. Catherine Goppel.
Thank you. This will be the last time I speak tonight. First of all, I want to thank you for keeping the provision in the ordinance to allow the meeting of the advisory board to be televised. You did that at your last meeting. Since I make my comments prior to your discussion, I have no opportunity to thank you. Cost has never been a consideration in the airing of meetings. Channel 21 was given at no cost to the parish to develop community programming. The parish has a contract with Cox and ETEL to have 5% of the franchise fees collected from those who subscribe to develop programming. Last year, the parish received $650,000 for franchise fees, which was placed in the general fund. Why should we change the charter? I gave you some comments at the introduction. I really believe that a lot of what's happening with this discussion has to do with what some people call a power struggle between the parish president and the council. Past councils and presidents have had difficulties getting along. I really don't think that the charter creates a power struggle. I think it's the people. I don't think that changes to the charter are really going to end that. Reducing the number of council members, however, for you will increase your workload because the people you represent will be more. And it will also, for the people of the parish, decrease their representation. Another consideration is that at-large candidates will require a war chest in excess of $200,000. So as a parish councilman and an at-large candidate, you would have to run basically what the parish president does now, and that is a consideration. If the spirit of cooperation and open-door policy promised to the public actually do become a reality, and I do hope they do, then the change in the charter will be unnecessary and possibly even detrimental to our government. The Justice Department would have to approve any changes that y'all recommend and carve out at least one minority district, and this will present a problem. And the 2010 census is coming, and we may have to change the lines again anyway. Ultimately, all these amendments, if any are approved by you, will have to go to the people to vote on. I do have some information here that I thought you'd find interesting. I'm going to give it to you. The Ascension Chamber did a candidate survey, and in the survey, this is what the survey found. President Martinez supported changing the size of the council as well as term limits for parish council members. He supported an increase in parish president authority, and he did oppose any decrease in his authority. Councilman Bell, Dempsey, Lambert, Shake, Snyder, and Valentine opposed changing the size of the council and any increase in the power for the president. Councilman Cluot and Lohr favored more power for the president. Only Councilman Bell, Dempsey, Lambert, and Cluot opposed term limits for council members. Councilman Joseph, Thompson, Todd Lambert, and Cullen did not respond, so we do not know their opinions at this time. It really seems to me that we have a situation here with a lot of room for a healthy debate on this subject. And I do appreciate your
Thank you,
listening.
ma'am.
Thank you so much.
You. I have no more speakers. I need a motion to close public hearing.
Second.
All right, a motion by Councilman Schicksner, second by Councilman Lohr. We'll move to the introduction of ordinance to convene an advisory commission to review the Home Rule Charter adopted May 4th, 1993, and approved by the electorate on July 17th, 1993, to determine if any amendments and/or repeals of current provisions are warranted. Ms. Manda?
Be it ordained, the Ascension Parish Council, as the governing authority of the Parish of Ascension, does hereby adopt this ordinance to convene a Home Rule Charter Commission for the purposes set forth above. There is hereby created the Ascension Parish Home Rule Charter Commission. The commission shall consist of 13 members appointed as follows. 1 member shall be designated or appointed by each duly elected Ascension Parish Council member, and the parish president shall have 2 appointments. The council members and the parish president shall appoint their respective commission members within 20 days of the effective date of this ordinance. Any vacancy on the commission shall be filled by the individual who appointed the member whose seat became vacant. The term of the commission shall automatically expire on April 1st, 2009, or the date of the official presentation of the report of recommendations by the commission to the parish council, whichever occurs first. The commission shall meet at least once per month. Should the commission fail to meet for 3 consecutive months, the commission shall automatically expire, and its authority shall be irrevocably revoked. Failing to obtain a quorum for a duly called meeting shall be considered failure to meet. The meetings shall be public meetings and shall be held at the official meeting place of the parish council. The parish shall provide an employee to draft the agenda, publish the agenda, and transcribe and publish the minutes of the commission meetings. The parish shall pay any and all costs and expenses of the commission, including the cost of publication of the official minutes of the commission. The parish shall ensure that the commission has access to the parish meeting place. If the meetings of the parish council are televised, then the meetings of the commission shall be televised. The meetings of the commission shall be governed by Robert's Rules of Order and any other procedure employed by the parish not in conflict therewith. Only a member of the commission may place a matter on the commission agenda. Each agenda item shall identify the member affixing same to the agenda. Each item on the agenda shall be limited to proposing repeal or amendment of one particular matter in the parish charter. Each agenda item shall identify by specific reference to an existing paragraph or section of the charter what said item is intended to repeal or amend. If it is a new matter proposed to be added to the charter, then the agenda shall identify what section it shall be incorporated in the charter should the matter be adopted. Any item that is not on the written and published commission agenda shall not be considered at the commission meeting. No item that is added to the agenda on the day of the commission meeting or at the meeting shall be voted upon on that day or at that meeting. Any item that is submitted after publication of the commission agenda or at the meeting shall be continued for deliberation and vote at the next commission meeting, or it shall be considered defeated. The members of the commission shall serve without compensation. The actions of the commission shall not have the force of law. They will constitute recommendations to be presented to the parish council. The proposed amendment shall be submitted in one comprehensive report of recommendations by the Commission. The report shall be entitled Report of Recommendations, and it shall be signed by each member of the Commission. However, each recommendation in the report for amendment or repeal shall be and constitute a separate item. Each recommendation shall be separately adopted by the Commission. The vote on each recommendation in the report shall be identified in the report by the number of yeas and nays, including Commission member name, by each recorded vote. The report shall be presented to the parish council at an official meeting of the parish council, which date shall be considered the official date of presentation of the report. The council shall receive the report. The council shall not act on the report or any part thereof for a period of at least 60 days after the date of presentation. Each recommendation in the report shall constitute a separate recommendation to the council, and the council likewise shall consider, deliberate, and vote on each item separately. On consideration of the report by the parish council, each item shall be separately considered, voted upon, and adopted by the parish council. The report shall not be adopted in whole by the parish council. Each item shall be considered by the parish in the form of an ordinance as set forth in Section 6-02 of the Ascension Parish Charter, and shall be acted on as provided in the charter, and, if adopted by the parish council, shall then be presented to the qualified electors of the parish of Ascension as set forth in Section 9-03 of the Ascension Parish Charter. The creation of this commission is not intended to circumvent the parish charter or to create any rights not already existing in the charter. This ordinance is being adopted in conformity with Sections 4-12 and 6-01 of the Ascension Parish Charter and is particularly designed to convene a charter commission to review the Ascension Parish Charter.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. I'll need a motion for the ordinance.
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Johnson.
Second.
Second by Councilman Cullen. Any opposition? Ordinance is introduced. Adopted, I'm sorry. Ordinance is adopted. Okay, the next item, 18, we will not have. We move to 19 for adjournment. Motion by Councilman Lohr. Second by Councilman Lambert. I will make an announcement. Our next meeting will be next Thursday in Donaldsonville. We'll get back on schedule. Be